happened there when that happened?
Oh, that was Dr. Pat. Dr. Pat Kane.
What happened exactly?
Well, we were all in the bar there, gabbing, talking away. And, of course, Pat was always agitating somebody. He's always agitating, that's the way he was. And he got into a big hassle with Mike Mansfield, arguing about some goddamn thing. I don't know what it was. And finally, Pat looked up at him, he was only short. He looked up at Mike and he says, "Take that goddamn pipe out of your mouth and answer my question."
Well, how did you know Mansfield? Did you work with him?
I don't know. I know him through the Knights of Columbus. I think I was on a degree team and we met in Missoula. That's where I first met.
Oh, for the Knights of Columbus?
Yeah.
Well, how did you know Pat Kane?
Well, if you spend any time around the KC, you'd know Pat Kane. Because that's where he spent his time. He liked it. He liked company and he liked common people. And we were sure as hell common around there,
Yeah. So your dad passed away in 1950.
Yeah.
And but he came to town in 1924 with the with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Well, who was in the family when you came to town?
I had a sister. At that time, she would only be 7 years old. And since then, she developed her own family and everything, but she moved to California, and she dropped dead of a heart attack in the post office. She was going to send a package, I think, up here for Christmas, and she dropped dead in a heart attack. That's the only sister I heard.
So there was you and your sister and your
That's
dad,
all.
and then your mom?
That's all.
Okay, again, your mom's name was what?
Alvina.
Alvina. And where was she from?
Now, she was born in Helena. And then her folks moved up to Marysville. Well, when she was about 5, I guess, when they moved up to Marysville. And, let's see. She died in 1990.
What was her maiden name?
Her maiden name was Luhmann. Not Lehman, but Luhmann.
What nationality or?
German.
German.
My grandparents were German on both sides.
Well, not on both sides. So on your dad's side, they were Irish, weren't they?
Yeah,
The German on your mom's side. Oh, on both sides of your mom's family.
yeah,
I see.
father and mother.
Where did your dad and mom live in Marysville? What was their address?
There was no address,
Oh, what street?
no street.
How would you describe it?
Well, where they were living when I was born, the house is still there, still occupied. In fact, it's right up just a little ways from our place that we got up there. Nice little house up there on the edge of the trees. The trees come right down to the edge of town. There.
What color is it now?
Yellow.
Yellow. And then when you went back up there, you were going to school in Butte in the 20s. You'd go up there in the summers by train and stay with your mother's parents,
Right,
the Lumans.
right, Lehman.
Lehman. And where was their house?
It was a 2-story house that my grandfather built. And he was a carpenter. And he built that 2-story house. And believe it or not, it was in the next lot to the house we have now. It was since moved, not tore down, but moved down into the Helena Valley. And I see the house every once in a while. I go by there.
You don't remember where it's at, what the address
Oh, yeah.
is?
It would be, it's a grocery store, things across the street. Those people owned it. The woman found out that I was connected with it, and she wanted me to come over and see the house, but I never did.
Is it out in the valley, like by Martin's IGA? Or?
Martin's.
Is it across from Martin's?
Right.
Oh, okay.
I was
Right.
trying to think Martin's.
And it's a two-story house right out there. Okay. Then, did you have some pictures of Marysville that you wanted to talk about for a minute?
Well, I don't know. What I was looking for was in here. You know, I'm not too good on keeping all these records, you know. But I took a picture of the headstones, and it's got the birth dates, died, you know, and buried, and, you know.
Well, let's take a picture of those.
Here, though, I want to show you while you're on your feet. Now, this is to my grandfather, Kim Shea. Dear Mr. Shea, Mrs. Ingman handed me 3 cents to cover your assessment. That's assessment on stock. 3 cents. You'll find your receipt enclosed, and here's a receipt. Tim Shea, 3 cents.
November 16th, 1928. St. Louis Mining and Milling Company?
Yeah.
Is that who he worked for?
Well, that was the Drumlin. See, the Drumlin mine changed ownership a couple of times. But that's 3 cents. I thought that was kind of good.
Now, your grandparents are buried in Helena,
Oh, yeah.
and your dad is buried in Helena,
And my mother.
and your mother. Now, you graduated from high school in what year?
1930.
From Butte Central?
Yep.
And what happened then?
Well, my father was assistant foreman up the original, and he had, you know, a lot of authority. He got me a job up there, working underground. So I went up to the original, and I worked up there for, quite a while. I was going to say 2 years, but I couldn't say exact. But all of a sudden one day, Big Jim Sullivan was the foreman up there. And he called me in the office, and he said, Clint, he said, I just got word from downtown that I have to lay you off. This was in the depths of the Depression. He said, I have to lay you off because they won't let any single man with no dependents working. So I got laid off right there.
What did you do then?
Well, I went over to Marysville, and I batched over there by myself. We had a house, and another house, and I batched over there for quite a while. And I rustled around, and I'd pick up little odd jobs, and that, hauling ore or something like that, you know, down to the East Helena smelter. Just enough to get enough for beans, a couple of sacks of bull durham.
What do you remember? What was your first memory of going underground at the original? Do you remember that day?
Oh, yeah,
What was
I
that?
do.
Why don't you describe that day?
Huh?
What happened?
Well, at that time, most of the men that were still working at the original were shift bosses. See?
Why is that now?
Well, that's when they shut the mine down, the mine closed, see? When they shut the mine down, that's where they transferred the shift bosses as miners and kept them right there at the mine, see?
This is 1930.
Yeah. So, you'd asked me the first day I went down.
Yeah, you're very
I had been underground before, right? It was, you know, it was nothing new to me to go underground. But it was goddamn different going down on a cage. And there was, well, there were probably about 6 of us on the cage. And there was one guy, he was the next shift boss, his name was Moriarty. And he kicked me in the shins, unmerciful. Hard shoes, you know. Funny, real, comical as hell.
Mm-hmm.
We went down, we got off on the 2800. And when we got off, we all got off together, see. There were about 6 of us. And he's over on this side. And I walked over to him and I said, you've got all kinds of room to do your kicking. I said, now let's see you do some kicking. And the rest of the guys, they came over and stopped it, see. But I rode on the cage with him many times after that. He never kicked me again.
Do you remember who else was on the cage with you that day?
Oh, there'd be a fellow named, I remember his name, Joel Canish, shift boss. And there was another shift boss, nice fellow too. His son was a judge up here. Start with a P. He was a judge up in the courthouse. The son.
Purcell?
Prothero.
Oh, Prothero.
Prothero was on that cage. And then I think there was Tommy Battens, and probably, I'm not sure, but one we called Old Country Jan, Davis. That would be all that I can remember.
And then what was the